Over the years, pro wrestling had a lot of great moments, but it had just as many bad ones. Probably even more. I can't believe I hate someone's sisters that much. Screw you. In today's video, I'll take 2 terrible WWE moments from you guys, and I'll have to choose which one was worse. For example, Natalya farting or Bayley "This Is Your Life" segment. You know what, in my opinion, Bayley's segment was actually worse, because your own farts don't smell as bad, so at least one person was entertained. Ew. And one thing that you will notice in this video is that a lot of people really hate Goldberg winning the Universal Championship or The Fiend versus Seth Rollins at Hell in a Cell. Goldberg winning the Universal Championship or Seth Rollins versus The Fiend at Hell in a Cell. 2 very bad moments, very fresh in memory. One sucked, the other sucked, and probably just as much. So let's look at it this way. Which actually had more damage to the WWE? Seth Rollins versus The Fiend kinda ruined Hell in a Cell in my opinion. I mean, it almost did. The match was bad, the lighting was horrible. It tried to tell a story, it just didn't really click. But the payoff was okay because The Fiend redeemed himself by winning the Universal Championship, so that's alright, I guess. I still have this shitty taste in my mouth, but I mean, he was a champion. Now, Goldberg winning Universal Championship from The Fiend, on the other hand, the match was okay for what it was, but many people thought Goldberg is gonna put The Fiend over. Nope. That didn't happen. And unlike Seth Rollins versus The Fiend, this one didn't have a payoff because he was supposed to face Roman Reigns. He didn't. He faced Braun Strowman. Braun Strowman became a champion. A lot of bad stuff, man. A lot of bad stuff. So by a little pubic hair, a tiny one, Goldberg taking Universal Championship from The Fiend was worse. Goldberg beating Kevin Owens for the Universal Championship or Goldberg beating The Fiend for Universal Championship. Again, 2 very bad ones, but I think I know the answer, so let's look at it this way. Sure, the match itself was better when it comes to Goldberg versus The Fiend. This one, on the other hand, was a one-move match. Both moments were horrible for Kevin Owens and The Fiend, you know? But at least Goldberg taking Red Universal Championship actually had a story. I mean, he went on to face Brock Lesnar at WrestleMania, so I don't agree with that decision, but at least it kinda worked. Like I've said, this one, on the other hand, it had no story. So I believe that one was worse. Brock Lesnar winning Money in the Bank or Otis winning Money in the Bank. Sure, I didn't like Brock Lesnar winning Money in the Bank briefcase because he doesn't need one. So it was like, okay, we're not getting new stars. Lesnar, who's been champion for 65 years now. Awesome. But we got this, people. And without Brock Lesnar winning Money in the Bank briefcase, this would not exist. It was worth it. Otis, on the other hand, used it as a lunchbox and he lost the briefcase. It achieved absolutely nothing. It made the briefcase look worse. Yes, that was the worst one. John Cena ruins the Nexus or John Cena ruins the Wyatt family. So which booking decision was worse? I don't think he necessarily ruined the Wyatt family. Yes, Bray Wyatt lost, but he was still successful. He is successful right now. The Nexus, on the other hand, how many members do we still have in the WWE? Not many. Daniel Bryan, if he counts. John Cena definitely ruined the Nexus in my opinion. You know, that SummerSlam match, and when he won the WWE Championship, buried him with chairs, and no, that was the worst one. Brock Lesnar winning Money in the Bank or Seth versus The Fiend in Hell in a Cell. Oh, that is an easy one. Seth versus The Fiend. Royal Rumble 2015, Roman winning the Rumble or WrestleMania 30 Undertaker streak ends. First of all, Royal Rumble 2015. A horrible moment, because it felt forced. In 2014, people wanted to see Roman winning the Royal Rumble because they didn't want Batista to win, you know. Roman Reigns wasn't the face of the company, so it was still interesting. In 2015, it was a different story. People knew that he's probably gonna win Royal Rumble, so people didn't want to see it. And then we got The Rock, and the last eliminations were Kane and The Big Show in 2015. No. WrestleMania 30 though, Undertaker's streak being broken, it wasn't even a bad moment. Whether you agree with it or not, it doesn't really matter. You always go back and watch this moment because of how shocking it was. I actually kinda liked it. Maybe Brock Lesnar didn't need it, of course, but I actually like this moment. So, anonymous Raw general manager is revealed to be Hornswoggle or letting Eva Marie compete. I mean, there are many wrestlers who are just as bad as Eva Marie. I don't think it was that big of a deal, and her character, you know, not wrestling, was kinda entertaining. Raw general manager on the other hand. So look, people were like, okay, maybe this is Stone Cold Steve Austin, you know? Perhaps Eric Bischoff, maybe Eric Bischoff is back. It was Hornswoggle. Imagine the disappointment. So that one was worse. Jinder Mahal beating Randy Orton for the WWE title, or Randy Orton versus Bray Wyatt in the House of Horrors match. So if we're talking about moment itself, the match itself, I actually like Jinder versus Randy Orton because again it was a very shocking moment. Unfortunately though, what happened later was bad. You know, he was a horrible champion, but the moment itself, actually from time to time go back and watch that moment because, again, it was shocking and I like these kind of moments. Randy versus Bray was very unmemorable, so I guess I'll choose this one. Batista winning Royal Rumble 2014 or Roman winning Royal Rumble 2015. Both moments were horrible, you know, very predictable, expected, and people didn't really want to see it. So I guess I'll choose Roman winning Royal Rumble 2015 because at least when Batista won the Rumble, the build to WrestleMania 30 was still amazing. So Roman's victory was worse. Burying Retribution or burying Tucker after his heel turn? Oh, Retribution. Obviously that was worse. Tucker, I mean, he still has time. He only had like one match after he split with Otis, which was a horrible decision in the first place. But Retribution actually had some potential. They had time to actually fix it, but it's getting worse and worse every time. So that was the worst moment, booking decision, whatever. Finger poke of doom or Roman number 30 at Royal Rumble 2017. It wasn't even that bad. The only reason he was number 30 is to get people nervous, and it worked. You know, people thought, okay, Roman is winning, he's number 30, and Randy Orton won the Royal Rumble match. So, I mean, that was the whole point. Did it make sense? Not really, but I mean, it kinda worked. Finger poke of doom on the other hand, like that's just one of the worst wrestling moments of all time. People were expecting a match, you know, something you expect in a wrestling show. Like when you watch a wrestling show and you're watching the main event of a show, you kinda expect a match. That should be a given, right? Well, sometimes it's not. So that was obviously a worse one. The finger poke of doom or Jarrett covering Hogan at Bash at the Beach. Oh, an interesting one. Classic. Both are very bad. We all know that. Obviously, they're very similar. But when it comes to logic, the finger poke of doom kinda still made sense because they're friends, and as bad as it was, you can still kinda defend it. This one on the other hand, it was horrible, man. All this shooting, backstage politics, saying shit like this man refuses to lose the championship. That kinda ruins the whole point of wrestling in my opinion. Sure, we all know wrestling is scripted, but you don't have to tell us that in the middle of the show. You know, that's like watching a TV show and during the show they're like, well, thank God it's just a TV show. Nothing bad is gonna happen. I'm the main character. Yeah, that's worse. DX versus Brothers of Destruction or Kofi Kingston losing the WWE Championship. I have a guilty pleasure. You know, as bad as this match was, I kinda like old farts wrestling. Legends, you know, big names. In a weird way, I find that very entertaining. As bad as it can get. I don't know why, but I actually like it. It's a guilty pleasure. Kofi losing the championship was, oh my god. I mean, if he got a rematch, a longer match, wouldn't be that bad. But he didn't, and it was that bad. So Kofi losing the championship was worse. Triple H beating Sting or Roman winning the Rumble. You know, looking back, probably Triple H beating Sting because, you know, Sting only had 2 pay-per-view matches, so it sucks that he didn't win this one. Shawn Michaels versus Hulk Hogan or Santino Marella winning the Women's Battle Royal at WrestleMania. Shawn Michaels versus Hulk Hogan is bad? On which planet? This one on the other hand, like, what kind of an idiot came up with that decision? Yeah, that's an obvious one. And Jinder Mahal beating Shinsuke at SummerSlam 2017 or Triple H beating Orton at Unforgiven 2004 for the world title. So, you know, that is a personal one because I'm not that big of a fan of Shinsuke Nakamura. I think he's okay, but I'm not a huge fan, so I don't think I really care that much, you know? Orton on the other hand, I don't think I didn't see that pay-per-view at the time. But looking back, they didn't even give the guy a chance. Orton with the world title actually had a lot more potential in my opinion. And this is actually a rivalry that I go back and watch sometimes, and it doesn't even look that bad. I actually find it very entertaining, and it's a shame that Randy Orton never got that championship back from Triple H. That's it for this video. Let me know your worst WWE moment of all time. Thank you very much, The Great One. Peace, love, and hugs. It's been a pleasure.